Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. It feels like it has been ages since I've been able to say that to you guys. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much to those of you who stick around even with my inconsistent posting schedule. Sometimes life just happens and I can't really control it, and I just kind of have to go with the flow, as we all do at times. And so that has been kind of the case for the past little while here. Realistically, we've just had some family stuff going on over the past couple weeks, specifically. So we've actually not even been in town or anything. And I actually had to pause my website for a little bit and stuff just to kind of, because we really weren't sure what our lives were going to look like for at least a couple weeks, for those 2 weeks, and then we, maybe even beyond that. For a while we weren't sure. So yeah, it just is what it is. And so I know it's been much longer than 2 weeks since I posted. Before that, I was really just struggling with getting everything done for spring and summer and all of that. To be honest, the first part of this year, I didn't do as much work as I should have to get things done ahead of time, because I was, just to be really honest, struggling. So yeah, that's really been, it's just been the year. Yeah, mental health, all that fun stuff, fun times. But I am trying my best to, still be taking care of myself, self-care, all that fun stuff, and all of that, both me and my wife, especially, and stuff just during this time. I'm not going to talk about it here because that's probably not what you're here for anyway. So anyway, I originally wanted to do just an easy video that was gonna be another just scent review type thing, because those videos are easy. But then I was like, you know what? One, we've done a lot of those, and two, businesses I know all over right now are struggling, and are, some of them are even having to shut down and stuff like that. Even big businesses that I would never have imagined are struggling and stuff. And I don't think right now that you guys need another scent review from me. You need to hear how I'm getting sales and stuff like that, and ideas for how to get sales and stuff for your own business and things like that that will actually help you to succeed in this time. So that is what we're going to be talking about today. Not that I am bashing at all on doing scent reviews or anything like that. I love doing those videos. I will do more of them. But right now, I think there are more important things to talk about. And first things first, I think before we even talk about what actually works sales-wise, or what is working for me personally, stuff like that, I think we need to talk about something that, to some of you, it might sound just stupid or whatever, it's not, that big of a deal, whatever. But it really truly is. And that is changing your mindset. Because it's so easy right now, especially even for me, it has been easy for me to scroll through Facebook, Instagram, whatever, through, news reports, things like that, scrolling through even candle groups and stuff like that, and seeing people left and right either closing their businesses or talking about how bad everything is and stuff like that, and basically just not sharing any hope whatsoever. I get it. It's not a good time right now. I get that. I'm not saying it's not there. That's not what I'm saying. But the reality is if that is all you listen to, if that is all that you let into your mind and stuff like that, then you're already kind of losing, because you're already thinking, well, if these businesses are failing, if they're not doing well, then there's no point in me even trying, because I'm smaller than them. I can't do as well as them, and so I'm just going to give up. That is truly, and that is how it works. That is how, people think and stuff like that. A good majority of us, I think, and I've been there myself. I have been to where I'm well, these bigger businesses that have been around forever, they know what they're doing more than I do, and they're failing. And that's the hard thing, is just constantly seeing all the bad and the negativity and stuff like that. People don't share hope nearly as much as they share negativity. And so it's just one of those things that you really have to like guard your mind, be careful with your mindset, and stop telling yourself that just because this other business is failing that it means you're going to also fail, or that because prices are raising that your customers are going to stop buying from you, or things like that. That is just not the case. Maybe you'll lose, a few customers or something like that, who knows, but I guarantee you can find plenty more that are willing to pay whatever price you need to price yourself at in order to make money and make profit and all of that. And I can say that confidently because literally just maybe it was like a month, maybe 2 months ago, I sold out of some of the most expensive candles, actually the most expensive candles I have ever had. They were these 3-wick, they're really pretty, really nice, really like kind of a more luxury type thing. And that's for some of you who might be like, oh, luxury candles aren't selling right now. That's not true. That's not the case. They were $40 or $45, I can't remember, but they were the most expensive candle I have ever sold. I was terrified that I wasn't going to sell any of them. And to be honest, it held me back from selling them for like a really long time, like way longer than it needed to. And they were just here collecting dust for a really long time. And I announced them thinking like I had enough to probably get me through like a couple weeks, probably at least. I did not think that they were going to sell fast at all, because like I said, they were the most expensive candle I have ever sold. And they sold out within 24 hours. So, and that was at a $40 candle. So I just want to say, truly there is an audience for any kind of candle that you are selling right now, whether it's $40, whether it's more than that, whether it's way less than that, whatever it is. Okay, so I just want to get this whole mindset thing out of the way, right out of the gate, because I know that a lot of us right now are struggling. I know a lot of us are feeling the pains of, everything kind of seems like it's raising prices right now, and it feels like there's just not a lot of hope and, all of that. And so I just want to get that out of the way right out of the beginning. You can still make sales. There is still an audience out there. There are still plenty of people out there that are buying candles, that are willing to pay whatever you're pricing your candles at and things like that. And yes, there might be some people who might be pulling back, but I guarantee there are a lot more who aren't and who are still willing to pay those prices and stuff like that. And, if you lose a couple customers, you're also going to be able to gain customers as long as you continue going and you don't just give up because you may have lost, Sally over here when there's 15 more Sallys over here that want to buy your candles. So before you change anything else in your business, you need to change your mindset. I can tell you that pretty confidently because I know that most of us right now, like I said, are struggling a bit with that. So first things first, change your mindset. And then my next tip or step, whatever you want to call it, for how I'm still getting sales right now and everything, is kind of like what I just said. Coming out with maybe a themed collection or a seasonal collection. If you don't normally do seasonal scents or something like that, if you haven't come out with like spring or summer scents, now might be a good time to do that. Introducing new scents is how I get so many customers like coming back all the time, at least every couple of months or so. Yes, there are those candles that I have that are available year round and people do like to be able to buy them, but there's something about like a seasonal collection or something that is only available for, a certain amount of time or a specific season or whatever, that people just really love to come back and they want to buy those candles before that season is over or before that time is up, because it feels a little more exclusive. It feels like, it just feels like they, are getting something special during that time that they're only going to be able to get for, a while, for a season, whether it's for a couple months or even if it's only like a few weeks or something like that. It just feels special that, they can get it and only get it, during that time. Which is another thing. If you are, I'm not going to tell you how to run your business. I know that some people like to sell their fall and winter stuff like that all year round. And I mean, I'm not saying not to do that, but I will say that I think that there, like I said, there is something special about, only being able to get a certain fragrance or certain types of fragrances during like, a specific part of the year. And that really brings people back during those times and stuff like that, in order to get those seasonal collections and stuff. And so even if you do sell, say you sell, 4 or 5 fall candles all year round or whatever, when fall comes, I would still personally at least add 1 or 2 maybe that aren't available year round. That way they can continue to, get the other ones that they like all year round, but then there's also a, there's a reason for them to buy another scent like during that season that's only available during that time, if that makes sense. And this really can go for any season, but also another idea is that it doesn't even have to be a seasonal collection. It could be a themed, type of line. Like I've seen people do like book candles that are, like they're based off of different characters from books or different series of books. Be really careful with that, just because copyright stuff, I would not recommend that you call, if you have a collection based off of like the Hunger Games or something like that, I would not, call it the Hunger Games collection or whatever. I would, figure out a way, copyright stuff gets a little, meh. So you definitely want to, be careful with that. But you can still make themed collections and stuff like that around, things that would have to do with, say the Hunger Games or Harry Potter or whatever you're into. I think Candle Science just released, they released like a whole luxury collection, but they had one called Speakeasy, and it like almost immediately, I don't know that I'm going to do it, but it almost immediately started like me thinking of like a whole either like bar themed collection or like a speakeasy type collection or, something like that, that you could do, really any time of year and stuff like that. And people would totally buy that. But things like that, things that are, that are special, it can be 1 candle, it can be 3 candles, it can be 10 different scents or candles, whatever. But just something that, it reminds them, one, that you exist, because sometimes people literally they just forget, like they buy a candle one time and then 1 or 2 times and then they kind of, are maybe tired of that scent. But if you only offer like so many scents or whatever all year round and they're not really interested in any of the others and you're not ever really coming out with new scents, then they kind of just eventually kind of forget that you exist. And so it's always good to come out with new products or new scents, whatever, just to kind of reintroduce them to you and remind them that you're still here, that you're still making candles and all that stuff. So I really think, seasonal collections are the way that I have like really built my business. It's really helped me. Like if I only had my signature collection and like that was pretty much it, like it would just be, it's just a lot harder to find new customers than it is to bring back ones that have already bought from you. And like me, myself, even the candles that I like really, really love, I don't want to burn them 24/7. I want to find another scent that I also like. And, during like spring and summer, I want more floral fruity stuff. But then during the holidays and during fall and stuff like that, I really want more bakery type stuff. I am like the perfect seasonal candle type person, because I want, different scents for each season and stuff like that. stuff that like goes with the season and stuff. And like most people, in my experience at least, are like that as well. But even like I said, if you don't do a seasonal collection, it can be, you know, something themed around, you know, whatever you're into, or whatever you think your customers might be into, or something like that. Or if you don't want to do a whole collection, maybe it can even be like what I did recently with those 3-wick candles that I was telling you about, is they were just like it was like a very limited edition, because to be honest, it was an idea I had for a long time ago. I had planned on actually like incorporating them into my line like all the time. However, then the place that I got them from ended up shutting down, and unfortunately there's really no other way to source those jars unless I, you know, wanted to order like a billion from Alibaba, and I just not in a place that I can do that, unfortunately. And so unfortunately it was just a limited time thing. But I know a lot of you are like me and you have had ideas for collections. Maybe you've even gone as far as buying all the stuff to make the collection, but then for whatever reason, the collection never happened. And so, you know, maybe this is a good time to revisit some of those. If you have like a candle jar graveyard in your closet somewhere or something like that, like I do, maybe this is a good time to revisit that and decide, hey, I'm just gonna do this, you know, even if it's only 10, 20, 30 candles, whatever it is, you know, even if it's only a little bit, you know, it's better to use that stuff and clear it out than, you know, keep it sitting around collecting dust, because let's be real, it's not doing anything for you right now. So might as well go back to it and do whatever, either do what you were originally planning to do with them, or maybe come up with a new idea for those jars and stuff that might be sitting around. Real fast before we get to this next part of the video, it would mean so much to me if you would hit that like button if you are finding some value in this video, as well as subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Or something else that I am about to be doing, I know I've talked about this a few times, is also incorporating whole new products. So I am actually about to be releasing some room linen body sprays. I'm probably going to be changing the name. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be calling them like Fine Fragrance Mist or something like that, just because room linen body spray is like, you know, it's kind of a mouthful, and to be honest, they can be used for so many things, and so it just, you know, I think it's better to come up with, you know, a better name. And then also I'm looking at hopefully getting some like hand soaps and stuff out later this year as well. So those are always, you know, always incorporating new ideas, new products, new scents, whatever it is always a good idea. I know that, like, you know, that stuff, it does cost a little bit of money to, you know, to make it and everything like that. But really, I think that it's always, you know, it's always a good thing to incorporate new products and stuff like that, because pretty much always, I think I've always, you know, always made money from incorporating new products, so. And then the next one, it's like simple, but for whatever reason in the past couple years it's become controversial. And that is offering discounts or a sale or, you know, whatever. I think people honestly like put way too much in this. They're like, don't discount yourself. It's really not that serious. Like, now obviously if you haven't priced yourself in a way that like doing a sale and stuff like that, if you're gonna lose money, then obviously that's not good. And in the long run, I'm just going to be really candidly honest, you're going to want to get that figured out, because that's just not a good way to run a business. If you aren't, you know, if you're offering 10, 15% off and then that's going to cause you to not make profit, that means you're really not making enough profit anyway. So I would really just, you know, look at your numbers and stuff like that. Make sure that obviously you can run sales and stuff like that, and then it's still, you know, you're still going to make some money and everything. You're not going to be losing money. But I really don't think it is that serious of a thing. Now, I do want to say that you want to be careful with this. I made the mistake in the first probably year and a half or so of my business of running way too many sales. I was constantly doing sales because it kind of became this thing where I was running sales so frequently in the beginning because I was afraid that no one was going to buy my stuff. Like, I did a sale like from launch day, and then I felt like I had to do more sales to get people to come back and buy more, which wasn't the case. And I wish someone had told me that. So there is a balance to this. I'm not saying run sales every day, every week, or even every month. I think I've done one, maybe two so far this year, and we're near 6 months into the year. So use it sparingly. I'm not saying run a sale every week or anything like that. But I do think that running a sale is a good way to get new customers in the door. I have had so many new customers say that they bought from a sale, and then they bought again a week or two later when I was no longer running the sale, and they paid full price because they loved my product so much. And like, that to me is like, I'm believing in my products enough that like running a sale is going to show them the value of my products, if that makes sense, because they're going to buy them at a slightly discounted price, and then they are going to love them so much that they are willing to pay that higher price. But if you only ever offer the higher price, they don't necessarily know the value because they are afraid to pay that and then it not be good, and so I think that people kind of make it a much more serious thing than it is, and like tell you not to run sales because you're discounting your worth or whatever. My worth is not tied into what I make or my candles. I'm sorry, it's just not. So it's not tied into my productivity. It's not tied into that stuff. So I'm going to run some sales and I'm going to make some money, just like all of us should be. So I know sales have become, or discounts, whatever, have become a controversial thing, but honestly, it's just not that serious. And this doesn't have to be like offering a flat, 15, 20%, whatever. You can do that for sure. Or you can do it, like bundle deals where, you buy 3, get 1 50% off, or buy 3, get 1 free, whatever, I've done in the past with like wax melts, where it was like, buy 4, get 1 free, or buy 3, get 1 free, something like that, and I've done that, I think, a few times with candles as well. And those always go over really well. And it increases your order value because, people will, if they're already thinking of buying 1 or 2 candles, and then they're like, oh, well, I can just buy 1 more and then get 1 for free, or, whatever, then a lot of the times they are more than willing to do that. And so those are always like a nice way to add some extra value to the order and everything like that. Or you can even do like, a couple days where maybe you offer free shipping if they, order such and such amount, whatever that looks like, whether it's, they have to order $50 worth of candles or whatever to get free shipping, or, whatever. People love free shipping. I actually offer free shipping all the time. It's built into my pricing and everything. And people love it. Honestly, I think that has been a huge win for my business, as well. And, people buy even more than they would, I think, if I was charging them shipping. And so it definitely evens out for sure. Because if I was, charging up front or whatever, shipping is kind of outrageous. So, be careful with this. Definitely make sure your numbers are right and that you're still going to be making money and everything. But, offering free shipping, it does kind of give that incentive to people to be like, oh, well, I'm going to add even more to my cart because I don't have to pay shipping or whatever. So it just does something in their head where, they're like, oh, I don't have to pay shipping. Maybe I'll add, an extra wax melt or an extra candle or whatever, because of that. And so definitely something to think about as well. Next one is super, super important, especially if you're selling online, which in my opinion, in 2025, you definitely should be selling online. That is where a lot of people are shopping. And so, there's no reason to not. So, but one of the biggest things that I will say, one of the most important things that I will say for selling online is your photography. And you might be like, Nick, I suck at photography. I don't know what I'm doing. And that's okay. Thankfully, pretty much your phone is really really, really great at photography if you know how to use it. I would highly recommend, if you are using an iPhone for photos or whatever, put it in portrait mode. It's going to blur out your background really nicely. You can look up tutorials on how to do that on YouTube. There's a million of them. I'll probably make one someday, but for now, just look it up on YouTube. But yeah, I would say portrait mode. I think pretty much every phone has a version of what's called portrait mode on iPhone. I don't know what they're called on other phones or whatever. I think one of them's called like focus mode or something like that. But basically it just puts whatever your subject is more in view, and it really blurs out the background. It is like, basically, even if you suck at photography, as long as you get the subject in focus, like, it makes your photos look really good. So highly recommend. But yeah, photography for sure is like one of the number one things I will say. And if you don't know how to do photography, I would honestly even say that it is worth maybe investing some money into hiring a photographer to do your product photography. I know that it can be expensive. You can look on places like Fiverr. I know that they have probably some photographers on there that are pretty good and everything. I don't know of any others specifically because I do all of my own photography. I was doing photography for 15 plus years before I was doing Kindles, so yeah. But anyway, but it is definitely one of those things that, like, it's better to invest in than not. It changes how people perceive your entire brand and your entire product and everything. So if you have a really great product, but you have like terrible photos of it, people shopping online are, they only see it as, they look at it as probably a terrible product because there's terrible photos. It's kind of like the rule of like, obviously make a good first impression. If, the photos, if they're shopping online and their first experience with you is online and all of your photos look terrible, they're probably not going to buy from you because they just, that's their first impression of you and stuff. And so I would say for sure that probably more than investing in almost anything else is product photography. Like, that is the first thing that I would almost absolutely invest into, and stuff, just, a little bit more, whether that looks like hiring a photographer, or if you do what I do and getting some replica surfaces. I absolutely love replica surfaces, you guys, truly. And yes, I am like an affiliate with them or whatever, but I would say that I was saying that back before I was an affiliate. Okay, so truly I love them. Yes, I know that they are a little bit of an investment up front and everything. It is still cheaper than hiring a photographer, I will say, or at least most photographers. It's definitely cheaper than hiring a photographer, and you can do unlimited photos with them, which is amazing. So highly recommend, honestly, if you haven't gotten any replica surfaces, I would highly recommend them. I've tried other surfaces and they just weren't as good, in my opinion. I even tried like the whole like whiteboard type thing, and like, it's okay, but really I would say, if you, for long-term use, I would really highly recommend looking into either hiring a photographer or at least getting some replica surfaces, because they truly are just like a game changer for your photography. And little hint, they will be doing a sale here soon. I believe it's 25% off site-wide. May 23rd through the 30th, they will be doing 25% off. Highly recommend it. Just throwing that out there. And the code for that sale is Memorial25. I will put all the details down below, either in a pinned comment or in the description, or both. So yeah, if you want to check out that sale, highly recommend it. And no, this is not just, I did not just put this in here as an ad for them. It truly is like one of the most important things. It has helped my brand grow so much, is, having good product photos and stuff like that, having good website photos and all of that, because like I said, it really is the first impression that a lot of people will have of your business, your brand, your products, and so it really truly is one of the most important things, especially when selling online. So tip number 4 is something that is not going to be like you can implement it overnight. It is something that you can change overnight, but it's not necessarily going to take effect, overnight. It is something that, will take some time to build and stuff like that, but I think it is monumentally important to building a lasting brand. And that is building an authentic brand. I think that when a lot of people, when they find businesses online, like through Instagram or Facebook or whatever, for a long time, they were allowed to just kind of post their product with a link that said buy here, or, something along those lines. And that was okay for a long time. That is no longer the case. That is not going to work. You can keep trying it, and you might get, a sale here or there, but overall, it's just not going to work for the long run. You really need to build like an authentic brand, and that means, and I'm not even just talking about like branding, logos, all that stuff. I'm just talking about like showing up for your customers and stuff like that. I share lots of, especially through Instagram stories, I share more personal stuff. I share, things that are going on in our life. I share behind the scenes, a lot of behind the scenes. A lot of behind the scenes is a really good way to, really build that authenticity and stuff. Showing the day-to-day, whether that looks like, you're running to the post office 58 times to drop off packages, or you're, labeling candles, or, whatever that looks like. And then, you can share that in a reel, you can share that in emails, you can share that through Instagram stories, whatever that looks like. But it's just those little things like that help people see your business as a real person behind it, and not just some robot posting photos online for them to buy from. Like, we have too much of that now. So people want, they want to buy from a real person, and not just some faceless brand that, they have no idea who you are or what you're about or anything like that. If you can share even, as personal or as little personal kind of as you want. It doesn't have to be, you can make it business related and keep it only business related, or you can get a little more personal and share about your family, share why you started a candle business. Maybe it was to people to stay home with your kids, or maybe it was to, I don't know, to help your family get out of debt, whatever that looks like. For you, I would highly recommend you sharing that story. You don't have to share every single detail, but, share as much as you can, or as much as you are comfortable with sharing with your audience, so that they see the real you behind the brand and everything like that. Just like I said, just posting photos of your product and like zero, reason why they should buy your product or anything like that, that just unfortunately doesn't work anymore. I know it would be so much easier. I understand. I don't fully love social media either. It gets annoying. It gets old. I get it. But the reality is like, we have great tools in our pockets to be able to, tell the world about our business. And yes, I understand it is hard to actually reach the whole world through those platforms, but it is something that is possible. I mean, maybe not the whole world, but you know what I mean. You can reach a much bigger audience than what you're currently working with. And so I just think that sharing the real person's story behind the brand and everything is so incredibly important. It touches on the heartstrings, people connect with it more, and then they're more willing to buy from your brand and want to buy your products and try them out. And then they'll continue coming back because they love your products and stuff like that. So I think that, obviously that takes more time to build. It's not going to happen overnight. It is something you can start right away, but it does, take some time for people to kind of get in that trust mode where they, are more willing to trust you and stuff like that while you're sharing your story and everything with them. Another way you can do this so simply is just by interacting with your customers. Social media was meant to be social. It wasn't meant so businesses could post their products and then log off and be done for the day or whatever. It was meant to be a social platform. So when people, anytime, especially when people tag you or they share your products or anything like that, be sure to, at the very least, share it to your stories, hype them up, be like, thank you so much for sharing, blah, blah, blah. A lot of people on my Facebook, it started out with just like a few family members. They would share whenever I, posted about my candles or whatever, they would share the posts and stuff like that. And then I would reply and even just say like, thank you so much for sharing the post, or, whatever. It doesn't have to be like, you're professing your love for them or anything crazy. It just, you just say thanks so much for sharing, blah, blah, blah. And that like encourages more and more people, because they're like, oh, like, wow, he really appreciates it. And like, I know that seems so little and so like it just seems like such an easy thing or whatever, but like not enough people do it. Like I see it all the time that people, will share, a brand or whatever, and the brand doesn't even like thank them or say anything or care. And it kind of blows my mind because you're like missing those connections. And there's always customers that I connect with. I like to write little messages on the box itself, like inside the box. So like right when they open up the box and stuff like that, they'll see a nice little message from me. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It's just, usually mine's something along the lines of like, hope you love the candles. I really love this scent. It's one of my favorites, blah, blah, blah. I mean, obviously be real. Don't say that if you hate that scent or whatever, but, whatever you want to put in there. And then say like, have a great week or, whatever. And that means so much to people. Like truly that little act, like it really does, like it like blows their mind when they see that, because most businesses aren't doing that, whether they're big or small. Only like some small businesses do that for sure. There are, I'm not like, it's not like groundbreaking information or anything. But there are for sure a lot of them that still don't do that. And it's just like little touches like that that really sets us apart from other brands and stuff like that. So really building like an authentic brand that like really cares for your customers and really cares about their lives and stuff like that is like truly so important. There's one of my favorite customers specifically, her Instagram account is like mostly pictures of her cat Ralphie, and he is like the cutest cat. And so like every time I like she buys candles from me or whatever, I'll write a message and just be like, hope you and Ralphie are doing well, or whatever, and hope Ralphie likes the candles. And it's so funny. And she shares my candles on every time she gets them. She shares them because I write messages and stuff like that, and she just truly appreciates it. And like things like that, where you're building actual connections with your customers. When they message you, message them back. Or even if it's just like a fun message, or they're like, oh, excited for the product or whatever, like always respond to them. Always respond to their comments, stuff like that. It doesn't have to be like this crazy thought out, whatever. It can just be like, thank you so much, blah, 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 whatever. But like, seriously, I don't see enough brands doing this, and it's like such a simple thing that truly like builds that connection with your customers and makes them want to continue, shopping with you, because it's almost like you become friends with them and stuff like that. And so it's just such an important thing to do. And then my next tip, honestly kind of piggybacks off of number 4, but that's just showing up even when sales are slow. You don't necessarily, you can tell your customers if you want that, if you want to share that like, hey, sales are slow right now, like I'm struggling, I would say be careful with that. That can get a little, a lot of people are doing that lately, and it almost comes across as like begging a little bit, and that gets a little, it just gets a little weird. So I'm not saying you shouldn't do it or whatever, but just be careful, be mindful of that. But I do think that like sharing stuff even when sales are slow, like that's the thing, is a lot of the time, like I said, with mindset, is when sales are slow, we kind of get into this, I think, or at least, speaking for myself, but I know other people feel the same, is when sales are slow, we kind of get into this mindset of like, well, what's the point of posting because no one's buying? And we kind of like shoot ourselves in the foot a little bit by making it even worse because we've kind of, we're not reminding people that we exist and stuff like that. People aren't, if you haven't figured it out, people are not getting on social media because they want to buy your candles necessarily. They're getting on social media to find out what their friend had for dinner or whatever, or they're getting on to scroll endlessly through reels and stuff like that. And so, if you can, especially if you can, share just a little quick video through Reels or whatever, that is always so important because that is like the number one thing, like whether you like it or not, whether you love Reels or hate the fact that, Reels have changed Instagram and stuff like that. However you feel about them, the reality is they are what's getting viewed. So, even if you hate them, I would honestly still say, suck it up a little bit and film some reels. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. It's one of the most difficult parts for me. I don't really enjoy them all that much, but I enjoy like looking at them or like seeing other people's, but I do not enjoy filming them or creating them myself for my own business. But they are what people are watching right now, and it's honestly just so important to be in front of them in whatever way that they are consuming content. It's important to be there. But it's so important to keep showing up in whatever way that looks like. Keep posting on Instagram. Keep, sending out emails and stuff like that to your audience. Share reviews that you've gotten in the past. It doesn't matter if it was a year or two ago. It doesn't even matter if you've maybe shared it on Instagram before. I mean, obviously, if you just shared it like last week, maybe wait a couple, months or something before sharing that same one again. But if you have like any reviews, whether on your website or from Google or Facebook reviews or whatever, wherever you get your reviews and stuff like that, I would highly recommend, sharing those. You don't have to necessarily put the person's name, or you can just put like their initials or something like that. But I highly recommend sharing those because like that, like really builds your, what they call social proof, which basically just proves that, you've been around and stuff like that and you know what you're doing. And it reminds people that like, oh, hey, other people are buying this. Like I should buy this or I should try this. But it just kind of builds that trust with people that, you're a trustworthy brand to buy from and stuff like that. So really share reviews if you can. If you have like any previous, maybe you've filmed videos for previous reels and stuff like that. Even if you've used like, say you have, 5 clips in one reel or something like that. I'm just throwing out a random number. You have 5 clips from different videos and stuff like that. Maybe you can repurpose those clips for a different kind of reel, whatever that looks like. I have like tons of videos of me just like pouring candles or pouring wax melts or whatever, and I repurpose them all the time. And honestly, no one ever notices. And so it's just one of those things that like you can reuse old videos, old shots and stuff like that from previous reels that you've done before and stuff like that in, new ones. And most people are not going to know. And they're honestly it's probably being shown to a whole new set of people because of the way algorithms and stuff like that on Instagram work. So honestly, it's probably being shown to like a whole new set of people, so they have no idea that you even used that video before. Some people may notice it, but like most of them are not going to say anything. Now, obviously, if you just keep posting the same reel over and over, like people are going to stop watching that because it just gets old. But reuse the clips in different, maybe a different order in the video, maybe change the song that you're using or whatever, whatever that looks like. You can always repurpose old footage and stuff like that for new stuff. And, most people are never going to know. I know this one's hard. I know that showing up, in your business, even when your sales are slow, is really hard, but it's probably the most important time to show up, is, when your sales are slow and stuff like that. It's important to keep building that community with your audience and stuff like that, and to keep, sharing your story, keep sharing reels, keep sharing emails, all of that. And then this next one is super practical, but so many of you I know don't do this, because I get questions about it all the time, or, remarks or whatever, and that is building an email list. So that is tip number 6. Build an email list. If you haven't done that yet, so important, so important. If you haven't learned from this whole TikTok thing where we still like it's 2025 and we still have no idea what's happening with TikTok anymore. It may be banned, it may not be banned, who knows. But if that hasn't taught you anything about, like all those people, and I know like a lot of you maybe aren't even on TikTok or whatever, and you're like, I don't care. But the reality is Instagram, Facebook, all of that, whatever, it could go away like that. And if you don't have something as a backup to be able to reach your audience, then that's going to severely hurt your business if that ever happened. I know that is like it's like probably not going to happen. It probably never will, but who knows? And you have no idea, like, also, the other thing is, like, if you're wanting to launch a new collection or whatever, and then Facebook or Instagram is down that morning, you can't really launch your collection because you don't have anyone to tell that it's launched, and stuff like that, and that's going to hurt your sales. So building an email list, truly one of the, probably, like I said, one of the more important things. I wouldn't maybe put it above product photography, but I'd put it like really close second to that, because truly, it is like one of the things that has really helped me grow my business, continue to get in front of my customers and stuff like that. And I get, quite a few sales from my emails and stuff like that. Now, you want to be careful. You don't want to be one of those brands that sends out like 50 emails a day. That's too much, and people will unsubscribe real fast because it gets annoying. But you also I think for the most part, small businesses kind of tend to undersend emails. I definitely do, for sure. I don't send enough emails. I probably could send more, for sure. But it's so important to have, that connection. That way, when you release new stuff, or whenever you want to do a sale or anything like that, or you can even do exclusive sales just specifically for your email list and stuff like that. That is always a great way to get some sales and stuff. But those are the people that are like really dedicated, who are usually going to like buy from you. Like most of the time, like people that are care enough to subscribe to your email list, they are the ones who are like going to actually buy from you. Now, I'm not saying that necessarily everyone will, but a lot of the times, if they are subscribed to your email list, that means they like really, really like your brand, and they generally are more likely to buy from you. But truly, it is so important for your business to have those emails and to be able to reach your audience in that way. If you don't know how to set up like an email, all of that, I use MailChimp. It is free up to a certain amount of customers. I can't remember the exact amount or anything, but I haven't reached the threshold. But if you have Shopify, they also have like a whole app through Shopify that you can use and everything. Super easy to set up. Just Google it. Honestly, I don't have time to sit here and tell you all the steps. But Google it and stuff like that. It's super easy to figure out. Trust me, if I can do it, like anyone can. I am not technologically savvy, really. I'm okay. I can figure it out. But honestly, YouTube, Google, etc. are the way that I figure out everything. So, just Google it. Trust me, there are tons of easy tutorials on how to do it all and stuff like that. It's not hard. Truly worth it, honestly. Quick recap. Number 1, change your mindset. Super important. Number 2, come out with seasonal themed collections. Maybe revisit an old collection that never made it to your shop or your website or whatever. Number 3 would be sales discounts. Super important to do those from time to time, but don't go crazy with them, because it can get a little a little too much. You don't want people to be waiting for a sale or anything like that, just to buy from you. Some people now and then might do that, but you know, you're never going to be able to fully get away from that. But I would say, you know, it's better to get a sale than not have a sale at all. So number 4, definitely make sure your product photos, we've got to invest in those a little bit. You know, whether that's getting some replica surfaces, whether it's investing in a photographer, whatever that looks like, it's super important. Number 5, building an authentic brand. Obviously will take some time if you haven't already implemented that or started implementing that, but still super important, especially for the long haul. We are not just in this for a short sprint, we are in this for the long haul. Somebody say amen. And then number 6, and like 6.5, show up even when sales are slow. And then 6.5 or 7, whatever, however you want to look at that, build an email list if you haven't already. Truly one of the most important things. So let me kind of dispel the rumors in your head that, you know, there's some secret that I know that you may not know, or that other business owners know that you don't know. We're all just figuring it out as we go, honestly. Even the most successful businesses at one point in their business or more, they were just figuring it out as they went. Now, obviously, over time, you learn what works and what doesn't work, but at some point, they were just figuring it out themselves. So that's what we're all trying to do. And obviously, I want to share as much as I can here and everything to help you guys out and share what has worked for me. But realistically, I can only share what has worked for me, and then I have to hope that you will implement them or find what works for you, and stuff like that. So either way, I hope that this video helped you out. I hope that you are able to get some ideas from this, maybe to help your sales and stuff like that. Some of them are things that you can do pretty much right away, and some are, you know, going to take a little bit more time to build and stuff like that. But either way, I really hope that this helps you get some more sales for your business, no matter what season we're in right now. Right now, it's currently 2025. Tariffs and everything are crazy. All that fun stuff. Economy's going a little crazy, and you know, it is what it is. I can't do anything about it, so just gonna ride it out and continue to do what I'm doing, and you know, continue to obviously change stuff where I can, continue to innovate, and you know, have new products, new scents, new all that stuff to kind of help continue bringing sales in. But you know, and anything else, I will, you know, if I change anything else, I will of course always share with you guys what that is. You know, I don't really keep any secrets here. I don't gatekeep or anything like that. So, you know, I just want to help you guys win at your business as much as, you know, as much as I can. So, but anyway, sorry, I know this has been a long video. You can tell I really missed you guys because this was a long video and I know I talked a lot. But like I said, I really do truly hope that some of these tips help you out and help your business to grow. But with that, that is going to be it for today's video. If no one has told you lately, friend, I just want you to know that I am rooting for you and I am always so impressed by you. You are killing it. You are doing amazing. If no one has told you that lately, just hear it from my heart. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.